Today we are going to talk about temperance, which is one of the most gentle and healing energy in the tarot. It talks about gentleness, about patience, softness, about peace, grace, harmony, inner peace, relief. Um, and also, especially in this imagery, it talks about the yin and yang of things. When the opposites are not fighting anymore, but they learn to coexist. You can see the water and the fire merging together and learning to coexist in the same place. Uh, this card comes after death, and it's often a card that comes after a period or an energy that comes after a period of darkness and grief, a period of where we were exhausted, where there was a lot of chaos, or we were just emotionally overwhelmed. So it reminds us that even if we are in the darkest moment, healing is possible, but we don't have to rush. It's the kind of healing that comes little step, one step at a time. Um, Also, Temperance is a card that talks about moderation, not only in what we eat, drink, in our lives, right? For example, if we have to follow a diet because we have an health issues, it tells us take care of yourself, try to moderate the way you eat and drink, but also moderation in the way we speak, the way we think, in keeping our minds and our words quiet and calm, and saying only what is essential, taking only what is needed and nothing more. For me, one of the greatest message of temperance is self-care. Also, the Empress, if you saw my video about the Empress, I was talking about self care, but the self care of the Empress is a little bit different because the Empress nurtured herself from a place of confidence, abundance, pleasure, and richness. The Empress celebrates life because she already feels full. Instead, temperance is the kind of self care that comes after a loss, where we don't feel full at all. And there is a kind of burnout, there is disappointment, there is emotional imbalance. And so we have to take care of ourselves to find balance. And we understand that in order to serve other people, we have to recharge, we have to restore ourselves first and enter in that place of abundance where maybe we're gonna be led toward the Empress energy, but that's not the same self-care of the Empress. There is a lot of there is not we don't we, when we are in the temperance, we don't feel the same abundance, the same richness of that and confidence that we might feel in the Empress energy. um, I already told you that this card is about moderation, and so it also asks us to simplify. Even simplify your house, right? Simplify if you have a tendency to hoarder, just like going more toward the minimalist style, also in your clothing, in your closet. Every, reminds you that to live with what is essential and not to do, because it's also chaotic, especially if you need healing, if you need like to remove from you chaos and messiness and confusion. You need also try to live in a place that is clean, minimal, and sober, yeah, sober. And with sober, I'm gonna go to later to the next meaning, but not now. Um, and so maybe in your house, you can, you can clean, you can throw away things that you don't use, and from that kind of mm, cleanness that you have in your house, in your space, you maybe can mirror that same cleanness in your mind. And maybe you can also create in your house a little sacred space, a little place where healing become a little bit easier. Maybe it can be a meditation corner, it can be a place where you practice yoga, maybe it can be also um, some flowers, or some place where you keep your journal, with some candles, something special, maybe a little altar. So just to remind us, we do that. It's kind of a ritual, just to remind us that healing is possible when we intentionally make room for it and create space for more healing and less chaos, more intention and less confusion. Uh, I love this card. This is like a gem. It's not an exciting card, right? In bad or good, it doesn't. It's not a card that brings that excitement of certain cards, right? Can be the Lovers or the Tower. Like these are cards that are a little bit more exciting. This card is very gentle, and sometimes things that are gentle, people they don't notice them, but they are so important because they help us to soften and create balance within us. As I told you about the yin and yang at the beginning, that this energy is about bringing together the opposite, I think it's also a card that speaks about inner alchemy, that is the transformation of one thing into. It's when, for example, our pain is transformed into wisdom, or our fear is transformed into compassion, or disappointment into acceptance. It's kind of like really using all the shadowy feelings and create from these feelings something else that is healing and that can help us to move forward. So our shadow transformed in light. It doesn't mean to reject it, but it means that we use it intentionally, and with a little bit of magic. Sometimes you can see temperance with magician, and when I see these two cards together, for me, this can be one meaning: transform, be the magician, be the alchemist, and transform a negative or shadowy feeling in something that is useful for your healing. Mm. And so you can really integrate um, the shadow and the light in you and feel a little bit more whole, because sometimes we all have a side of us that is a little bit more evil, and we have this other side that is more angelic, and sometimes we don't bring them together. There is very there is a lot of confusion in us, and this brings us to another meaning, or yes, another meaning for the temperance energy, which is to move away from what is black and white, the black and white thinking, because in life, um, little, rarely or very little things are all good or all bad, maybe nothing. So we don't need to believe we are either amazing or complete failures, right? We can recognize that we are doing our best in life, in our job, in our romantic life, but also we understand that there is always space for growing a little bit more. So both things can be true. So skillful people, for example, can make mistakes, but also good people, and but also skillful people can make mistakes, but also good people sometimes can have hurtful behavior. It doesn't mean that these good people are evil, and it doesn't mean that these skillful people are a failure. It just means that there is duality in life, and we need to see um, both side of everything. You know, sometimes we are in a difficult experience and we feel that there is all negative, that's all negative, but it's not, because in that experience maybe we are learning something, that experience is teaching us something, and maybe that experience can be the greatest doorway to our growth. So when we divide the extreme, when we create this black and white thinking, we become more anxious, conflicted, we start having more judgment, and we become very rigid. You know, also when we have this black and white thinking, relationships are very hard to navigate, because it's impossible for us taking any decision, because we think that something is wrong or something is right, and it sometimes it's not something is wrong and something is right. And also relationship become very hard because um, and also relationship can become harder, very hard to navigate, because we have high expectation that someone is a really good match, they're perfect for us, and then as soon as we see some of their flaws, we think that they are bad, they are not good for us. And so this way we really can't enter in a relationship, because it's impossible. Someone can be good sometimes, someone can be bad, but it doesn't mean that this person is not right for us, right? Because something can be painful sometimes, but it also can be very meaningful. Someone can love us, but still can disappoint us, right? We can feel afraid of something, but still move forward. We're not stuck in our fear. So life holds many polarities, and the healing begins when we learn to honor all of them instead of fighting them and dividing things in black or white. This card, of course, talks also about emotional imbalance, you know, sorry, emotional balance, the balance between so sometimes when we are happy, we move from that happiness, something bad happened, and then we become angry, and then we can be happy again. There is like, you know, we call it moodiness. And temperance remembers you that that is not healthy for you. These two extreme are two really creating imbalance in your body, and you should find your center and be anchored in the present moment instead of like moving between these two different um, energy. 14. Um, so this card speaks also about emotional balance. Instead of swinging between anger and reactivity on one side and sadness and passivity on the other side, temperance invites us back to the center, you know, to to a place where there is peace and less drama. And as I told you, temperance is also deeply connected with the spirituality. Many people experience this card as a reminder that they are protected and guided by something that is greater than themselves. And you can call this spirit guide, you can call these angels, you can call this energy. But it's something that we cannot see, but we can feel, you know. It's and this thing can manifest through signs, through synchronicities, through intuitive messages, through dreams, um, and also songs or things that messages that arrive to our numbers, messages that arrive to us in weird ways, but they have a meaning. They are guiding us somewhere. And I actually had one very special moment where this card and this energy was really very much present. And it happened a few months ago. Um, I was dreaming, I was having a dream, but that dream was really real. I mean, it seemed real. It seemed that I was like, you know, I have dreams like that. It's not that I don't have dreams that are real, but this one. So this it ac- it I a few months ago I actually had a dream that really brought this energy in my life. The experience really connected me with temperance energy. In that dream, I was laying in a bed, and I was surrounded by 4 or 5 entities, let's say that, and each one belonged to a different culture, race, or historical era. They had different dress. It was like weird, and they were talking to each other, and they were discussing that they needed to remove something from me. So it was like weird. I could see myself. I was up above me and them, and I could see myself laying down, kind of sleeping, and they were around me trying to remove something from me. Now I don't know what they wanted to remove, is something physical or something energetically. But when I woke up, I felt this sense of relief. There was a situation where I was stuck. I have been stuck for 3 years. And after that dream, I was able to release that situation easily, like so easily. But the dream didn't tell me anything about, wasn't about this situation. I just was able to um, I was done. I don't know how to explain it. It's very difficult. If I have to express the feeling I felt, it's very difficult to tell you. But it's kind of, if it was something energetically they removed from me, some kind of contract maybe, or I don't know what they did, or I don't know, but they did something, and I think they were my spirit guides. And before that, I believed in spirit guides, but after that experience, I felt I believed in them a little more. Let's say that. Um, what else? Um, yes, and there is also, when we have the temperance, the feeling that the universe is sometimes we think that life is unfair and we are the victim, and that the universe is against us. But instead, the reality is that temperance tells us that there are the gardeners outside, and it's a little bit. Can you hear it? I don't know if you can hear it. I can. I have a thing with noises, and so it's disturbing me. But let's keep moving. Okay, just believing that the universe is working with you, for you, and not against you. So instead of thinking that life wants to punish you, we start believing that even in the challenging moment, we still are moving toward the greater wisdom and peace. Mm, I was talking earlier about being sober, but Temperance has also literally a connection with sobriety. When so it, since it represents moderation, it also can represent freedom from addiction, working or stay away from addiction. And these addictions can be, yes, drugs and alcohol and sex, or can also be emotional attachments or anything that pulls us away from balance. And again, yes, temperance wants balance. Temperance, like this, like it's trying to balance the water in the cups and yin and yang. It asks us for balance, but it's a different balance than justice, because justice seeks fairness, truth, accountability, and most ethical decisions. So it cuts directly to the center with clarity. Instead, the temperance seeks harmony rather than asking know who is right. Temperance asks how can peace be restored. So it's a completely different balance than justice, because justice separates a little bit, and instead temperance wants to integrate. um, so justice, for example, creates peace through truth and no, 21. So justice is a little bit like justice as justice divides. So for justice, some things are wrong or bad when we have this card. Instead, temperance teaches us that sometimes there is bad in good and there is good in bad, and we have to be open to see that. Um, Another great teaching of the card temperance, the energy temperance, is forgiveness. And in this way, it resembles judgment, because also judgment has a quality of forgiveness, but the forgiveness in judgment is a little bit more dramatic. It's a dramatic awakening. Is the moment we wake up and we finally release the past, and we forgive in order to move forward, right? There is a sense of finality and transformation in judgment card. Instead, the temperance is so much quieter. Um, it's it doesn't reject the past, or it doesn't force reconciliation, right? It's an energy that gradually make peace after have seen something, right? It's the kind of forgiveness that frees us from carrying resentment every day, because resentment is a prison. A prison. I I've read a quote a few months ago, I don't remember when, that said that forgiveness is like releasing a prisoner, just to realize that this prisoner were you, was the person who had to forgive. And that is true, because being resentful and angry, um, it's a prison, and it's a link we have with someone, and the only way to release that link with that person and be free is forgiveness. And I know forgiveness doesn't come easily. It's not you wake up in the morning and you say, oh, I forgive you, just because you thought about forgiveness. It is a process, it is a journey, it is it's up and downs, right? One day you feel that you forgave, and then the other day you're still upset. But then there are a moment where the moment you are peaceful and at peace with them and peaceful and um, And this doesn't mean only forgiving someone, it's also about forgiving ourselves, because we hurt ourselves in so many ways, with thoughts, actions, and words, right? Sometimes we are not nice with ourselves. When we make a choice that doesn't honor who we are, that is like betraying us, and we have to forgive us. And I think that when we have to forgive someone, sometimes we have to go deeper, and we have to understand that sometimes it's not about them. Sometimes it's about us. For example, someone hurts us, right? And we are upset at them, and we are angry at them so much. But then if we look deeper, we are also angry at ourselves, because we trusted them. We, even we saw red flags everywhere, we trusted this person. And so the first thing we have to do always is forgiving ourselves. And when we forgive ourselves, it's kind of natural also forgiving the other person. So when you are upset at someone, look deeper within you and see if the real person you are upset, it's you. Let's see. I think I've said everything I need to say. Yeah, the shadow side is that we some people, they become obsessed with healing. They meditate too much, and they go to the church, for example, or they eat such a clean diet, which for a short period when we really need healing is important, being disciplined. But after a while, when we feel better, we still have to look, at what worked, that made us feel good. But maybe we can be a little bit less obsessed with so much meditation, so much prayer, so such a clean diet, right? And we can a little bit, mm, have a little bit more fun, um, also, what else? Oh, also, when it's upside down, it's that we are unable to see what is creating balance in our lives, and so we are repeating habits. We are entering in same kind of relationship. We are uh, having the same kind of beliefs. We are in the same environment that keep draining us. And wondering why healing isn't happening, but it's because we are not facing what is making us sick and drained and weak and imbalanced. What else? I think that's it. I think that's it. And I hope you liked this. I know it's not the usual, when you go and they speak fast, and they, in 2 minutes, they talk about the card. I'm not that. That's not me. There is so much to say about each tarot card, and I could speak about this card much more, to be honest. So, especially if I start, comparing this card with, other, you know, matching this card with other tarot cards, so I can give the card different meanings. It's just like tarot is not easy, tarot is a really complex art that you need to understand, and part of it is also following your own intuition, following your own inner voice, or the voice of this higher power. Yeah, if you liked the video, if you thought that I gave you some little good tip about the temperance card, just like, subscribe, and comment also. What is temperance for you? What is balance for you in this moment of your life? What is mm, that you are doing to heal? That you can also, an advice that you can give to other people about the way, the tools you are using right now to find balance in your life. Things like that. Share and help also others to move toward a better and healthier life.